Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airwaves of YouTube, coming at you at the very least every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I hope y'all are enjoying my new studio. As you can see, it's pretty fly. And guess what? I'm not even finished yet. It's going to get even better in the days to come. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. As promised, before I close out every single show, I'm going to end it with callers from you guys, okay? I'm not running from anybody. I'll take messages over social media, but I love the phone calls. I love that live phone call situation going on there where I'm communicating exactly with the callers, you understand, and the listeners and the viewers. So here we go. Let's go to the lines. Let's go to Andrew in Massachusetts. Andrew, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, man?
Hey, Stephen A., how are you?
I'm doing great. Talk to me.
Yeah, so I just had a question. So I'm a huge Celtics fan. I know, obviously, you picked them to come out of the East.
Yes, I did.
Everyone in my office thinks I'm crazy that I think they could go 74-8. I think they're that good. What are your thoughts? I think that this is the best starting five. I'm 27 in my lifetime. I don't know if you would agree with that or...
Hell no, I wouldn't agree with that. The best starting five in your lifetime. Well, first of all, how old are you again? You're 27?
27, yeah.
Man, you're a baby. You're wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. Of course it would be the best starting five in your lifetime. You don't know any better. You understand? When Jordan and Pippen were playing together, you were a toddler. So, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Excuse me, don't interrupt me when I'm talking to you. I'm trying to make your point here. I'm trying to help you, okay? But I would say to you, Andrew, you know, listen, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is a superstar in this league. Jaylen Brown's a star. Kristaps Porzingis is nothing to sneeze at. I got that. Al Horford is a savvy veteran. We get all of that. Derek White can ball. Drew Holiday, I believe, is a future Hall of Famer. I get your point. But the greatest starting five ever? No. Not only that, you ain't going 74-8 because you got to understand during the course of a regular season, 82 games, you know, youth comes into play, meaning guys take nights off, they get distracted, it's late night, they hanging out, they're not interested, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the Boston Celtics recently lost to the Philadelphia 76ers, getting ready to go up against them Wednesday night in Philly. By the way, I expect to be at that game, but the bottom line is you losing 8 games, that means you're going to be a better team than the Golden State Warriors were when they went 73-9. Ain't no way in hell that's happening. You do understand that, Andrew, don't you? You don't have the bench for that.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely an issue, but you would agree, though, like the last 27 years of my life, like 1 through 5, I think the Warriors were a better team, but I'm saying like 1 through 5, everyone's either all defense or an all-star. Yeah, even with the Warriors, you didn't have that.
Well, but the Warriors couldn't shoot the ball like these brothers. As good as they can shoot, they ain't the greatest shooting backcourt in the history of basketball. They don't have the greatest shooter God has ever created. I mean, let's not get that far now. I get it. The starting five is legit. It's lethal. I understand that. That's why I got the Celtics coming out of the East, even though Milwaukee is nothing to sneeze at. The bottom line, Damian Lillard and the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, they're going to need a lot from Brook Lopez. They're going to need a lot from Bobby Portis and the rest of those guys. It's a question mark right now. It just is, but I appreciate the call, man. Nate in Alabama, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Nate? Talk to me.
What's going on, Stephen A?
Talk to me. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, what's up? Hey, I just got a quick question. All right, so I personally think Caleb Williams the best thing to come through L.A. since LeBron. So is Caleb Williams the best QB prospect, not player, but prospect of all time?
I don't know about all time. I don't know. Do you mean the best QB prospect of all time? I mean, of all time?
Yeah, like coming out of college.
So in other words, a better prospect than Peyton Manning?
Yes, of course.
Of course. Why would you say of course?
He's the closer. He's Pat Mahomes, but he's still in college right now. He's playing like Pat Mahomes. If his defense wasn't the 132nd ranked defense in the country,
Caleb Williams, here's what I would say to you, Nate. Caleb Williams is a bad brother, and there's no doubt about that. But we have to take into account how UCLA is looking. I understand their defense hasn't gotten it done, but he still has an opportunity to stop the bleeding. That didn't necessarily take place. I know he's a bad brother. He's a reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He's something special, no doubt about that. But the only way to accurately answer that question, even though the word prospect is what you prefaced it with, is if you see what he does on the next level to some degree. Because when we measure these guys coming out of college, one of the reasons we applaud their greatness is because of what we saw them do on the next level, too, because they validate validated it. And that's what I think you got to pay attention to, Nate. I don't think you could go any way around it, bro. I get where you're coming from. Caleb Williams is that dude. He's something special. You also got to take into account the level of competition that he goes up against. Did you go up against Georgia? Did you go up against Alabama? Have you gone up against Michigan's defense? These are the kind of things that people are going to ask about because it's the level of competition that you're performing against as well. They ain't Colorado or Colorado State or Utah or somebody like that, even though Utah is nothing to sneeze at, okay? That's different level. That's extra level stuff. And Caleb Williams is going to have to do it against them as well. You feel me?
Yes, sir. So where would you have him ranked within, like, the last generational prospects?
I haven't thought about that. Give me some time to think about that. I would tell you I got him as one of the top prospects. I'll give you that. Listen, he's better than most. I think he's better than anybody coming out of USC. I can tell you that much.
Would you take him or Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow if you had the number one pick and they was all
You said him, Joe Burrow, who was the middle name?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Oh. I would tell you that's a hard pick. It depends on what I need. If I need a dual threat, I'm going with him. If I need a pure pass, I'm going with Joe Burrow. I appreciate the call, man. Let's go to Ronnie in Buffalo, New York. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Ronnie? How are you?
Hey, Stephen A. Thanks for taking my call, man.
My pleasure.
Fan. My question is regarding Bill Belichick in New England. Given the sort of lack of success that he's had without Tom Brady, what do you think this means, or what do you think it says about his legacy going forward?
Well, his legacy is tarnished, and I appreciate the call, Ronnie. Thank you so much. But his legacy, Bill Belichick's legacy is tarnished because it's not that he's losing now. He's a six-time champion as a head coach with 2 additional titles as a coordinator. That's not the issue. The issue against Bill Belichick is the fact that you expedited the exit of Tom Brady. I mean, who's a son to the local area. That's what you did. That's what you're synonymous with. If Tom Brady had retired on his own after this season as a New England Patriot or what have you, and Bill Belichick was having these struggles, everybody would forgive him. Everybody would understand. Nobody would be worried about it at all. And everything would be copacetic. The problem is that Bill Belichick expedited his exit. I can do fine without him. We don't need to move on. I want Jimmy Garoppolo to be the heir apparent to a Tom Brady. That was what Bill Belichick did, and he didn't want to kiss the proverbial ring of Tom Brady because he has 6 of his own. And so his attitude was, I'm just as, if not more responsible for the championships than you are. Why the hell should I kiss your tush? And as a result, Tom Brady said, the hell with it, I'm going to go elsewhere, went elsewhere, won a Super Bowl championship for Tampa Bay, and that really highlighted and illuminated what Bill Belichick's ego was and how that may have gotten in the way. Then when you take into account the fact that you're looking at him as an executive and you recognize the fact that he's only drafted 2 Pro Bowlers, a kicker and a punter in all the years since 2012, those are the things that are hurting him. That's why I think that the state of Massachusetts and the Foxborough area specifically is tired of Bill Belichick, and they don't mind moving on, particularly considering how bad Mac Jones has been. And their mentality is maybe we do need to start a new era and appreciate Bill Belichick for all he's done, but maybe it's time for him to go to Los Angeles for the Chargers or to go somewhere else. Maybe it's time for that to happen.
Well, I appreciate the information. Thanks.
Thank you, man. Let's go to Jay in North Carolina. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jay?
What's going on, Stephen A? Got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do you think Cam Newton should get another chance in the NFL?
Well, I think Cam Newton should get another chance if he can ball. I mean, at some point in time, first of all, I don't want to hear about any kind of transgressions involving Cam Newton. We don't want to look at it from that perspective because let me tell you something. All of us are flawed. All of us make mistakes. Cam Newton is a good dude. He's not a bad person. Here's the problem. He took too much physical punishment, number one, because he was running the football too damn much, trying to be Superman. And at one time he was, specifically 2015, when he got him to the Super Bowl with a 15-1 record before they got beat up by the Denver Broncos and Von Miller and those boys. But the point is, Cam Newton could play, but he was never an elite thrower of the football. And because he was never an elite thrower, and his running ability, his running prowess was based off of power as opposed to elusivity like a Lamar Jackson and others, that's where the problem lies. Because he can't run the way that he used to. He can't take the punishment that he once took, which means that he has to be able to stand in the pocket and just throw the football now, and that ain't his strength. So my personal opinion is give him a look. He should have a look. Just like Colin Kaepernick should have a look. We know he's been blackballed. We know that's not going to happen because he wasn't smart and wise enough to take them tryouts when it was offered to him at the Atlanta Falcons practice facility when 26 different teams showed up. But the difference between a Colin Kaepernick and a Cam Newton is that Colin Kaepernick had breakaway speed and he never absorbed the punishment that Cam Newton did. And so even though both of them were average throwers at best, Colin Kaepernick, his athletic ability and his breakaway speed, that's what separates him from a Cam Newton. Cam Newton never had that. He just overpowered you. And now that he's older and he absorbs so much punishment, plus he can't throw the football on an elite level, I personally think his career is over. I don't want it to be. I hope that I'm wrong, but if I had to bet, I would tell you that Cam Newton's career as a quarterback in the National Football League has come to an end.
Okay, I appreciate that, Stephen.
Thanks a lot, man. Take care. Last caller, Hunter in Alabama. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Hunter? How are you?
Hey, Stephen A., how are you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you for calling.
I got a question for you. If Joshua Dobbs, Vikings quarterback right now, if he leads the Vikings to the playoffs and stays on the pace that he's on, is he the Vikings quarterback going into next season?
I think the answer to that question is yes. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's yes. I'm going to tell you why I think it's yes. Okay, let's take this into consideration right now. He's balling. Let's give him respect where respect is due. The last two games, 31-28 win over Atlanta, 20 for 30, 158 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Last week against New Orleans, 27-19 win. All right, and remember that game against Atlanta, he had just arrived to the game. He had just arrived to the team like days earlier, for crying out loud. And then last week, he completed 67% of his passes, 268 yards and a touchdown. The brother is balling. Here's the thing. Kirk Cousins was due a new contract. So because Kirk Cousins was due a new contract, okay, if you're Minnesota, you was potentially looking for another avenue anyway because you didn't want to pay him the money he was going to command. Now that he's suffered this Achilles injury, there's no doubt that he won't be in a position to get what he was intending to ask for. So because Kirk Cousins comes cheaper, you might have a shot at keeping him. You might want to keep him. But the way Joshua Dobbs is rallying the troops, the way that he's balling, if this brother gets Minnesota, who was once left for dead, starting off 1-3 on the season before going on this winning streak, if this brother resurrects the Minnesota Vikings, by the way, doing so without Justin Jefferson, and they end up getting to the postseason, and God forbid he wins a playoff game, which Kirk Cousins didn't do and couldn't do, at least last season, I think that if you're the Minnesota Vikings, considering how much cheaper he will be and how his play is comparable to that of Kirk Cousins, plus being the leader that he has emerged into being for the Vikings, I think it's entirely plausible that Joshua Dobbs will be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings next season.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care of yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate the love, appreciate the time. Really glad that y'all enjoyed the show with me. Thank y'all for joining me my first day in my new studios, Stephen A. Smith Show in the house, in the Stephen A. Smith Studios. That's what we call it. It's not the official word on the outside, but that's the word, the official word in here. That's the way it's going to stay. Stephen A. Smith Show in the Stephen A. Smith Studios. Holla at your boy. Next time.